It's the best, hands down.
It's crystal clear.
I love it. The things you can make are awesome.
No one else has quality epoxy like this.
It's easy to mix.
Tim is such a wealth of knowledge.
It's gotta be iCoat.
Welcome to the Resin Mastery Podcast, exploring iCoat epoxy.
Alrighty, welcome back guys to Resin Mastery. It's so nice to be back. I'm sorry I've been away for so long, but today we have such a good episode. We're actually going to be exploring how we can beautifully preserve Easter flowers and meaningful holiday memories using epoxy resin. As you know, that's what we're all about. So whether it's a bouquet from a church service, a gift from a loved one, or like floral that have sentimental value, we know that resin offers a powerful way to turn fleeting moments into lasting keepsakes. So how are you doing today, Ian?
I'm awesome, Rachel. And yeah, I'm loving that we're doing this Easter episode, because how can we not talk about Easter flowers when that's what we do? We help people preserve flowers. We give them guides, we give them help, we give them best practices. And Easter flowers are some of the most beautiful things out there. And later in the show, stick by, because we're going to be talking about one of the most popular flowers. If you're into preserving flowers, we'll give you the heads up on what's one of the most popular flowers online that everybody's talking about to preserve.
That's awesome. And I'm so excited to talk about that too, because I mean, it is the season. Spring is the time of year where not all, but most flowers are blooming, and that's when like all of these different kinds are all in season. And so it is a good opportunity also, if you're doing preservation, if you have, flowers that you're doing in October for wedding season, it might look different, and it might be flowers that you've never dealt with before. So I do think that that's a fun thing, and like also a challenge for, people who are doing this for business or just for fun. Yeah. So
we're going to break down the step-by-step process of preparing and drying your flowers. I know for a lot of you out there, this is something you already do, and we're going to be telling you things that you already know, and maybe even you can throw some tips back at us by going on to any of the comments on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to the podcast, and just firing back at maybe your best practices as well. But for those who are doing it, we're going to include all the common issues that people face, and especially browning and yellowing, not just of the flowers, but if you don't handle it right, you can end up with your resin turning as well. Quality resin has less issues than that, but if you don't handle it correctly, it can still happen. So we're going to cover all of that, especially around preserving Easter memories, because it is Easter week coming up. But we're going to cover everything from not just flowers, but everything from crucifixes. Rachel, we've seen some amazing artists. I'm thinking about Rememberable Resin, who actually do some amazing resin crucifixes. Valdi Resin does it as well. Shout out to her. And they're just gorgeous the way they look. But there's everything else. There's flower paperweights. Mm-hmm. There's ring holders.
Yeah.
And coasters. You could do Easter coasters with Easter flowers. And so we're going to cover all the ways you can do those things to create memories, to create an Easter that maybe once you're done, you can put them to one side, and this will be a family piece every year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I love what you were saying too, is like just all the examples. And one thing I have been seeing a lot lately was, bookmarks, like really thin layers of resin with like pressed flowers, and those are beautiful. So spring is such a good time to get some flowers and do that as an at-home project, or add that to your portfolio of different products to sell. So
this must also be the time of year, Rachel, where everyone's buying silica sand. So everyone buys their flowers with silica sand. I'm sure being in the silica sand business right now it is a pretty good place to be as well.
Also, like something too is it's that time of year where the weather is starting to really change. And so depending on where you are, if you don't have like the most stable and most controlled place to do your work, that's also something that can really affect your work. So making sure that you've got top quality ingredients for everything you're doing and methods is super important to go over, whether you're doing it for fun or a business. So, because I know it's getting hot here in Arizona. I don't know about any other places. I actually heard it's like there was like a below 8 like in Chicago, like -8 like a couple weeks ago, which is crazy to me that we have that and then we have this.
Yeah, I know. Look, our country's in a place at the moment where it's either freezing or it's blazing. It's one of the two, but both of them have their challenges, right? When you're working with resin and making sure your environment's correct, everything's set up properly, and you're ready to go. So we're going to cover all these professional techniques in here, including tips on UV protection and what's in our epoxy for that as well, and also finishing techniques. So there's one thing about preserving, just top coating, this flood coating to give. Some people love doming effects, and all that is going to be talked about in here as well. So Easter, beautiful time of year. We've got these amazing flowers blooming, amazing flowers around all these churches. Rachel, I think we've given this tip in a couple of shows as well, which is go into your local church, go into the bookshop, go and see the pastors and say, listen, I do this for a living. I would love to take some of the Easter flowers and bless the church by creating some mementos that we can sell in the bookshop to raise money for the church. But what you can also do is ask them to put your name in there. Let's take, for instance, Buck Woodworks and Designs. They could say flowers, Easter flowers provided by Buck Woodworks and Designs, and give your website. Now you've got people who may want it for their wedding, may want it for a memorial, may want it for a different thing. So they're going to be looking for that as well.
Well, yeah. And I love what you said too, like kind of about like later for your wedding and whatnot, is a lot of churches host a lot of weddings and a bunch of different events. I know personally my church holds different events for memorial services, birthdays,
baptisms,
baptisms, a lot of different things. So having the kind of in there and like, hey, it's not necessarily that, because I know some people are like, don't turn my church into a market, but it's not always like that. It's a good way to market yourself in a way where these people have access and they actually know about it, because it's, hey, I did a project with the church and it was beautiful. If that's something you want, here's that. And business cards are like just in the front office, basically where a resource center would be, So I definitely think that it's really good to go to local churches when it comes to that.
And you know what, as well, when churches have bake sales, all of our resin artists should be turning up with their flower trays.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I didn't even think about that.
Here's what you can tell people. We have these amazing flower trays that we make. You can take all your fresh baked goods that you're buying. You can put them on there like you'd put cheeses on a charcuterie board. And you can present them at events knowing that it's fully food safe.
Yep.
There's going to be no bacteria left before or afterwards.
Which is so important.
It's beautiful. What more could you want? So, we want to be here for you as our artists, thinking about ways you can make more money, ways you can look for more business. And look, this is really one to do. Churches want to support their community. They don't mind you making money. God wants you to make money with what you're doing. So go in there, have a chat to them. But Rachel, I've got an exciting new segment to talk about, which is coming up. And I was talking to Tim the other day, and we have so much misinformation out there about epoxy, how to use it, how to clean it up. There was even one thing we saw on Reddit where a lady said her epoxy was still kind of like not cured and how to clean it. And someone said, try soap and water.
Oh, no.
No, exactly. And I mean, Tim nearly blew a gasket. And I'm like, Tim, we need to be talking to these things. And he goes, you know what? we're going to start a segment called the Epoxy Misinformation Minute. And each
I love
week,
that.
yeah, I think it's great. We're going to be putting out like these tips and tricks and talking about misinformation about epoxy online, because we've had calls from people who've got advice from people who don't know, and now they've doubled the issues.
Yeah.
Rather than go, stop, wait, now let's talk about how to fix this, they've now just gone and doubled the issues, which is really, really sad. So, you know, there's going to be a chuckle, it's going to be a gasp, and it's going to be an exhale all at once. You're going to be thinking to yourself, especially those of you who are a bit more adept and knowledgeable about this industry, the phrase, "What are you thinking?" is probably going to be commonplace when we do these different sections as well. Also, Rachel, one other thing, the definitive guide to epoxy yellowing is available at the iCoat store for free. All you got to do is go to iCoatEpoxy.com, go into the store. It's absolutely free. And it is the definitive guide. If you follow every step in this and use quality epoxy, like iCoat's casting epoxy, you are not going to see yellowing. And it goes from everything from the way you prepare your room, the way you warm the place, the amount of humidity, how you handle your resin before it gets into the mold, how you dry your flowers. And then even the post, which is, don't store it in the wrong places, how to store it, don't suffocate it, because epoxy, even though it's dry to the touch and you can tap it and click on it 48 hours later, generally, it isn't fully finished its chemical reaction for quite a while after that.
Yeah.
And if you suffocate it at that, you can actually cause other issues, but there's so much more in there as well. So go and grab that for free. And that's a really good one. So Rachel, flowers, let's talk about some of these Easter flowers that people are going to be looking for to use in their preservations and their trinkets they're going to be making for Easter.
Yes, I am so excited to talk about this. I love flowers. They bring me so much joy. And I know that I'm definitely not the only one. Men and women alike love the beauty of flowers. And that's a huge blessing to us. And so basically, around Easter time, churches do tend to use flowers that symbolize resurrection, purity, and new life. So right now we're just going to go through a traditional and seasonal mix of the spring blooms. And the number one most popular Easter flower are Easter lilies. And they are the most iconic. They do represent resurrection, purity, and new life. So all the things that we listed previously. And I
just want to chip in here. I said earlier in the show that we were going to give you information on what is the most popular flower on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. The number one from our analytics, I nearly said analylis, is Easter lilies. These lilies. Lilies are the most popular choice. They're a beautiful flower, so it's not surprising that that's the choice. But yeah, they're the number one. So I was just thinking when you were talking about the first of these flowers, Rachel, about how I would love to see some of these crucifixes that I've seen be made with Easter lilies inside them.
Yeah. See, that would be so beautiful for like a larger project, and your church could bring that out each year too. It's a small investment for something that could go on for, decades. Really.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Absolutely so beautiful. Yep.
It'd be so awesome. And too, it doesn't always have to be the same. If you want to, you could always send it back or do your own project to add some more flowers, add another layer of epoxy. It's really, really simple. So that could be something that changes too. And one of the things that I found interesting and that we can discuss today is that the white trumpet shape is associated with Christ's victory over death, which is the main focus of Easter. And I think that that's just such a great thing. The Lord always likes to put a little bit of himself inside of his creation, and you just see that all over the place. So that's just absolutely beautiful. So you will mostly always see those around the altar, around the crucifixes, around the crosses in your church during Easter. And then the second one is tulips, which one of my personal favorites. I love tulips. They're so pretty. We don't see them enough in Arizona, I think, because of our weather, like especially in the summertime. But in spring, you do see a lot of them, and they represent renewal and hope, which are two things that when you're going through the rest of this year, I think we all definitely need renewal and hope, just with everything that's going on in the world right now. And not only that, but they are bright spring colors with like yellow, pink, red, white.
Yeah, that's the great thing about them, right? They come in so many different colors, tulips do.
Yeah. And I love them. Red ones are beautiful. I mean, we're not as well off as like some of the, I know the Dutch, they have fields of tulips, which are so cool. I've always thought about how I want to go see that. But, maybe this year your church will just have so many flowers that it'll basically look like a meadow anyways.
Exactly. So number 3 is daffodils. Now, daffodils, the beautiful yellow flowers with a center crown. And again, they're just another one of those beautiful Easter flowers that you'll see a lot. They bloom right around Easter as well. So that they're one that's very common, and they're just a joyous flower. I absolutely think they're just absolutely joyous. Next on this list is obviously roses. And again, roses are a very formal and traditional flower. And for our artists, a lot of people, they encase roses. It's one that they seem to dry out well. A bit of retouching with some of these coloring tools. Tools wise, go to our iCodeEpoxy.com, click on tools. We don't sell tools. We just recommend the best tools to use that you can go and get off Amazon for the best pricing as well. So you get real value there in clicking on those. And the good thing about roses, they come in red, they come in white, they come in orange. I've seen some roses that I've bought for my wife, Rachel, that I just can't stop staring at the color choice. It's amazing how they meld from one to another in a way that artists dream about creating a color palette. And there it is, fully formed in nature. And if anyone knows from church that red roses are also there to symbolize Christ's sacrifice as well.
Yeah, which is just absolutely beautiful reminder that I think we all need. And so next is hyacinths. Hyacinths are very pretty too, very dainty, and they symbolize peace and sincerity. They do also have a really strong fragrance, so it is really nice. A lot of churches will use that like towards the entrance. That way when you come in, you get that fresh, like floral scent too. So that's another one. I definitely don't see as much preservation with those flowers as...
No, I don't. Yeah. They're probably too delicate or something.
They are very delicate because they've got like very thin petals, and then like you have roses, which are like, you kind of have to work to rip them up a little bit.
Hardier. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, so hyacinths, another one, azaleas, which are really popular in the southern U.S. churches. I don't see too many of those here in Arizona often.
No, not really a Southwest thing, right? But it is this time of year when, for any golfers out there, this is the Masters coming up. And you'll always notice on the Masters coverage, the blooming azaleas that are in the South. Yeah. Huh. So Georgia, South Carolina area, you get a lot of those blooming around there. And then, last and very, less common, I'd say, is chrysanthemums. Again, another delicate flower, and you'll see them used. But what these are the flowers you should be looking for that represent Easter. These are the ones that, if you don't go to a church and ask them to use their flowers, remember, part of all of your cost of goods within your work is not just the resin cost, but it's the cost of silica sand and the flowers themselves. So if you can get these for free, you're lowering your cost of goods to start with. You're also building a relationship with the church, a relationship with the bookstore, a relationship with people within the parish as well. excellent way to actually expand your base and expand the people who you're talking to as well. And yeah, I think this is just an amazingly good time, Rachel, where people should be thinking to themselves, by listening to the Resin Mastery podcast, I'm not just getting tips and tricks and being entertained about the world I'm working in, but we're giving you, business tips on how to expand your business, how to grow your income with this. So you can actually bless your family and bless those in your community, because you're actually generating a lot of income. Like, go and listen to Blossom and Rhyme's story. Went from one lady who lost a job to 5,000 square feet and 20 plus employees in a couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
And possible with the right planning, with the right headspace, with the right drive to make this a going concern. You probably just heard it, if you've been listening to the podcast, Ebony Whitson's story about the growth that she's had. But now people like TV channels and shows are noticing these artists. So this is the time to get more exposure.
It's a really, really good time. And, just also I wanted to mention too, like, let's say, you have a church, because I know a lot of churches don't have, unless they're slightly larger or have a higher revenue, because churches do make money. Yep. And that's how they run in all reality. And so I have noticed that smaller churches may not have any kind of shop or any like bookstore or anything where some things can be purchased. So at the end of the day too, if you know small churches around your area and they don't have a place to sell things, or they don't do any like craft fairs or anything, you can still ask them for those flowers and just say, hey, I would love to keep them, take them, because at the end of the day, they will just be left to die after that service. So unless somebody else is taking a few home, there's probably going to be a bunch of leftovers, which, like Ian said, would just be a free supply for you. And then you can turn something beautiful and still market that to the people at the church who would love to see those preserved. So that's a really good idea. Live in a small town, or you just have a lot of places that don't really have a market. So but
that's a great point, Rachel, and that's exactly what we're saying. It's like in any business, you've got to get creative. You've got to think laterally about how to promote yourself, how to sell, where to sell. Just a tip: a friend of mine has a winery, and he found a real niche in selling at street fairs.
Oh, yeah.
His wine sells really well at street fairs. He never thought about it, tried it, thought he'd give it a shot. And it's now a going concern within his business. So thank you to everyone. It's good to have you back, Rachel, on Resin Mastery. And, happy Easter.
Yes, happy Easter, guys. I'm so glad to be back, and I hope to be back for the next episode as well. And make sure to enjoy this holiday, be humbled, and just use it as a reminder to draw the people that you love closest to you.
Well said, Rachel. So next time on the Resin Mastery podcast, we'll see you again soon.